Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ticketmaster Studios. I'm Dave Archer, the Atlanta Falcon Radio Network and AtlantaFalcons.com. This is my series where I take a look at some of the prospects that could affect the Falcons, not only in the first round, but throughout the draft. Now we're going to look at the big fellas, the big guys, the big uglies on both sides of the football. Let's first start at the defensive tackle spot. Now, I want to throw a disclaimer out there. I'm not including Mason Graham here, the big defensive tackle out of Michigan. I think he'll be gone. But the guy that won't be gone, I don't think, will be his teammate. And that's Kenneth Grant. At 6'4", 331 pounds. He was a third-team All-American this last year. The junior comes out of Michigan with 3 sacks and 6 tackles for loss last year. But I want you to watch this guy's feet. They try to single him up front here. And the big fella, Kenneth Grant, is all over. He's got outstanding size with really heavy hands. He's a striker. When he puts his hands, look at that nice move to the inside against Alabama. This was against Bama in the Rose Bowl 2 years ago. Look at the inability to get him blocked. Just an outstanding job of using that spin move to the inside. Does a great job against double teams. His combination of power and athleticism to get to the passer is outstanding. I don't think there's anything to really discuss about what he doesn't do. I think there's always that chance that he gets a little bit off balance a little bit from his size at 6'4", 330. But hey, the tape shows that this guy makes plays, and if you single him, he's going to be in your backfield. That's an outstanding player. It's Kenneth Grant from Michigan. Let's take a look at another defensive tackle, Walter Nolen, 6'4", 296 pounds out of Ole Miss. He was a junior. He's coming out. He was the #1 high school recruit coming into high school, and he transitioned to Texas A&M, played 2 years at Texas A&M, and then went to Ole Miss. And this guy is a difference maker on the inside. Much like Grant, this is the guy that you cannot single. He's got an outstanding quick first step. His hands immediately discard whoever's trying to block him. Does an outstanding job with playing with a consistent motor. And don't you love a single digit on the big fella? Look at the big fella with a 2 on him, but he plays up and down the defensive line. I think that the guy has a chance to affect you across the board of the defensive tackle spot. What he does do is brings that motor and gets after you. That's Walter Nolen out of Ole Miss. Another defensive tackle, Derrick Harmon, 6'4", 313 pounds out of Oregon. Redshirt junior, was 2024 second-team All-American, 5 sacks and 10.5 tackles for loss. I wanted you to watch the versatility. Where do you see the tape of this guy? That's the one thing that jumps off the table at you is his position versatility along the D line. He's got a combo of size and length and power. He's got long arms, can play the proper pad level, does an excellent job. He gets a little bit too high sometimes, but when he keeps that proper pad level, this is another one of those guys that you're going to have a problem with if you don't try to double team him. Outstanding player out of the University of Oregon. Brandon Dorlus out of the University of Oregon. This guy could be teaming up with Brandon along a Falcon defensive front, but love that position versatility. Let's go to the other side of the football now when you start talking about the center position. Now, we're not going to take a center in the first round, might not take a center in the second round, but there's going to be guys available. A guy that impressed at the combine was Jared Wilson out of Georgia. This is a guy that did an outstanding job with his testing. Ran 4.84 at the combine. You look at the athleticism now. Watch this guy get to the next level. He's not just the second level, he gets into the third level. They talk about his ability to run block, which is outstanding. I thought he really improved his pass blocking throughout the season. This is just a 1-year starter now, so the room for improvement is outstanding. Watch this play here. Look, he can get all the way to the third level, blocking a safety down the field. That's the athleticism this guy brings to the table. Here's some of that power football. Watch him here on the double team. Going to double team from the defensive tackle, get up on the linebacker, create the crease. That's who he is. Jared Wilson out of Georgia. Another center I really like, Seth McLaughlin out of Ohio State by way of Alabama, 6'4", 304 pounds. This is the Remington Award winner. He was the top center in the country last season, but this is some tape here from Alabama. He's got really quick feet, but I love the nastiness. Look at him blocking downfield, 5, 6, 10 yards down the field, blocking down the field. Love the nastiness. This is an experienced player, got quick feet as we talked about, smart, knows how to diagnose things quickly, and does a really good job with all those kind of things. The only drawback here with McLaughlin is, remember, had an Achilles injury late in the season at Ohio State last year in November. Everything leads to him being ready for midsummer in full football workouts and then being ready to go for training camp. But I love this guy. I think he's going to be somebody's center here before long. Let's take a look at some of the other defensive tackles. Deion Walker out of Kentucky, 6'7", 330 pounds, outstanding player there. Big-bodied guy. Talik Williams, another guy off the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. And off that really good South Carolina defense, TJ Sanders, a guy to watch for when you start looking at defensive tackles as we move into the draft. Alfred Collins, outstanding player out of Texas, 6'6", 330 pounds. Darius Alexander, another good player out of Toledo. And Omar Norman Lott, another player that you want to keep an eye on. These are defensive tackles that aren't going to be in the first round, but are going to be depth guys that are going to come in and play a ton of football in the National Football League and anchor some of that depth along the defensive front. Atlanta looking to do some of that. Let's take a look at some of the other centers. Drew Kendall out of Boston College, Chris Lindstrom's alma mater, Jonah Monheim out of USC, and Jake Majors out of Texas. Now, these guys are not going in the first couple of rounds, but remember, Drew Dahlman, 4th-round draft pick. Mud Duck was a 7th-round pick. He's in the Ring of Honor. I mean, that's where these centers go, and these centers will be available maybe in that 4th round. Should Atlanta look to maybe bolster the depth at that center position and maybe on beyond that. But that's some of the big guys, the big uglies. There's guys that are going to play in the league.